Welcome to Math with Mrs. Seeley. Let's begin this 2025 free response question number 4. In this question, we are given the graph of function f, which is continuous, defined on the closed interval from -6 to 12, and it consists of 2 semicircles and the line segment shown in this figure. We're also told that f is the function defined by g of x equals the integral from 6 to x of f of t dt. In A part, we're asked to find g prime of x and to give a reason for our answer. Okay, well, if g of x, again, is the integral from 6 to x of f of t dt, they're asking for the derivative of g. So that means that I would need to take the derivative of g. But if I'm going to take the derivative of this side, I need to take the derivative of this side. Taking the derivative of this side just means that I have g prime of x. Taking the derivative of this side, well, if you'll recall, just like plus and minus, times and divide, square and square root knock each other out, derivative and integral also cancel each other out. They're inverse functions. So they cancel each other out. This top variable just replaces the t. So therefore, we have that g prime of x is equal to f of x. We are asked to find g prime of 8, which means we're being asked to find f of 8, which means go to the graph of f, go to where x is equal to 8, trace it up, and that value is 1. So g prime of 8, which is f of 8, equals 1. If you are able to consider or to get the association that g prime of x is f of x, give yourself the first of those 9 essay points. Then, if you are able to get the value of 1, give yourself the second essay point. All right, let's take a look at B part. B part says find all the values of x in this open interval at which the graph of g has a point of inflection. To have a point of inflection means the second derivative changes signs, or the slope of the slope, if we know that derivative is slope. Well, this graph up here, which is the graph of f, recall, is already g prime of x. So we're already looking at the first slope. So if inflection point is the second slope, then we need to look at the slope of this slope right here. So where it changes signs. So if you'll notice right here at -3, it goes from decreasing and then it changes to increasing. So right there, that derivative, because it is a derivative, changes from negative to positive or increase to decrease or vice versa. Right here at 3, it changes again. It's increasing, and then it changes to decreasing. And then right here at 6, it changes from decreasing to increasing. So therefore, I have points of inflection at -3, at +3, and at +6. So to write that out, we would say right here, the graph of g has inflection points at -3, +3, and 6 because the graph of f, which we just said is really the first derivative, changes from increasing to decreasing or decreasing to increasing at these values. They would also accept an answer that the slope changes signs from positive to negative or negative to positive, or because there are relative max and mins there. If you were able to get that your inflection points are at -3, 3, and 6, give yourself another point. Then, if you are able to justify that with any of these reasons that we talked about right through here, give yourself another point. Okay, let's take a look at C part. C part says to find G of 12 and G of 0. All right, so G of 12, let's recall that this is what G of X is. So if they want to know what G of 12 is, that means you're going to put a 12 right there. So then I will say G of 12 is equal to the interval from 6 to 12 of f of t dt. Remember that the interval is just the area under the curve. That's what integral means. So I'm going to go up here to my picture, and I'm going to go from 6 to 12. So let's go back up here from 6 to 12, and let's look at the area under this curve right here. So it consists of a triangle. And we know that the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So we're going to have 1/2 the base, which is 6, times the height, which is 3. So then to find the area under that curve, we just said it is a triangle where the area is 1/2 the base, which was 6, times the height, which is 3. So I get an area of 9. If you got that value, give yourself another point. Then it says to find G of 0. So this time, we're going to put the 0 in for the x. And that gives us the integral from 6 to 0 of f of t dt. Okay, well, the first thing we need to do is recognize that our limits of integration are out of order. You need to have the larger number here and the smaller number here. So let's rewrite it, but you know that when you rewrite something like that, you have to put a negative out front. And so now let's go look at our picture, our graph, and find the area under the curves from 0 to 6. So if I go up here, 0 to 6, this time is going to be a semicircle right here. You know that the area of a circle is pi r squared. But in this case, we'll have half of pi r squared, where our radius is right here to here, or here to here, or here to here. So we have a semicircle with a radius of 3. So then that area is going to be negative, and then 1/2, because it's half of a circle. So pi, our radius is 3 squared. So that's going to be negative 3 squared is 9 over 2. So we get negative 9 over 2 squared. And it's half of a circle. So negative 9 over 2 squared. If you got that value, give yourself another point. Okay, then let's take a look at the last part. The last part says to find the value of x at which g obtains an absolute minimum on the closed interval from -6 to 12, and we'll justify our answer. All right, so let's think about absolute minimum. If you want the absolute minimum, well, first of all, if you want any minimum, you need to look at your critical numbers, or that's just where the derivative is equal to 0. But because it says absolute, not only do we look at our critical numbers, but we also have to use or look at the endpoints. So if we want to know where the derivative is equal to 0, g prime of 0, remember we just said that g prime of 0 is the same thing as f of 0, because g prime of x is the same thing as f of x. If you were able to establish that theory that I need to look at where the graph of f up here is equal to 0, give yourself another point. Now let's go back up here and look at the places that we need to test. So we need to look at the endpoints and we need to look at the places where it's equal to 0. So here is an endpoint as well as it's equaling 0. Here it equals 0. Here it equals 0. And here is an endpoint. So we need to examine at x equals -6, x equals 0, x equals +6, and x equals 12. I like to make a chart with this right here. So I'm going to make a chart where I know that x is equal. I'm going to check at, we said the endpoint of -6 plus, that's where it's equal to 0. We're going to check at 0 because it is 0 there. We're going to check at 6, and we're going to check at that other endpoint of 12. So we're going to check the values of g of x at each of those places, and the place that it's the smallest will be our location. So again, recall that we know that we have the integral f of t is going to go from 6 to x, but we're going to put a -6 up there, of f of t dt. So we're going to look at the area under the curve, because remember, integral is area under curve up here from 6 to -6. And so I'm going to have to actually reverse that again because they're messed up. So flip that and put your 6 here and your -6 here. So let's run back up here to this graph, and let's go from -6 to +6. Well, if I go from -6 to +6, I can see that I've got half a circle underneath and half a circle above, and they're just going to cancel each other out and give me 0 for that value. So that one's equal to 0. All right, right here at 0, well, we just found that up here in part C. It was equal to -9/2 pi. So that would be -9/2 pi. All right, this part right here. If we look at 6, well, that would be the integral from 6 to 6 of f of t dt. But if you're looking at the area under a curve and it starts and stops at 6, there's absolutely no space there. So that's equal to 0 as well. All right, 12, we just found that up here in part C, and it was equal to 9. So that's going to be equal to 9. So that's equal to 9. And we can see of all of these values right here of 0, -9/2 pi, 0, and 9, this is the smallest. So it's my minimum. So then we would say that G attains an absolute minimum. I'm going to abbreviate. An absolute minimum at x equals 0 on the closed interval from -6 to 12. If you were able to get this value right here, and you were able to justify it with this work, give yourself the last 2 of those points. If you're ever trying to wonder how do I write my answer, one of the things that I think is neat to do is to go back up to the problem and look at what it's asking right here. It was asking, where does G obtain an absolute minimum value on the closed interval? So you can see that I pretty much just copied that and said G obtains an absolute minimum of my answer on that closed interval. I hope you found this helpful as you were preparing for your AP exam. If you did, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel. Be sure to check out other AP Calculus explanations as well as calculus tutorials and videos on the channel. See you next time.